Council approves procurement and debt servicing processes.
It's a collaboration between the federal, the states, and the local governments, prioritizing productivity-enhancing investments.
Federal government pledges support for inclusive steel industry development.
The project is in partnership with NNPC Limited and private sector stakeholders.
Court discharges Igbo Air passenger Comfort Manson after prosecution withdraws charges.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall focus on giant strides of President Tinubu's administration, plus localizing youth action for sustainable development goals.
So, President Bola Tinubu's administration marked its second anniversary on May 29 this year, right?
Yes, exactly.
And like any milestone, it is a time for taking stock of what's been achieved, what's still in motion, and what lies ahead.
Indeed, Victor, and since taking office in May 2023, the administration, under the Renewed Hope agenda, has pushed through a range of reforms, touching on the economy, security, infrastructure, and social investments. Now, these are all aimed at lifting the nation to new heights.
And among the headline strides are economic reforms, new infrastructure projects, improved security landscapes, and programs in education and healthcare.
And the figures are telling. Real GDP growth and more than 6 trillion naira generated in revenue in just the first quarter of this year.
Now, security has also seen gains, with several areas once troubled by banditry said to be returning to government control. So, what exactly are the giant strides of the Tinubu administration? We'll walk you through the achievements, the performances, and even the challenges as the program unfolds. I am Victor Azu. Thank you so very much for starting your day with us on Good Morning Nigeria.
And in the second part of the program, we turn the spotlight on local youth action for the Sustainable Development Goals. And I join Victor in welcoming you to Good Morning Nigeria. Today, I am Jumma Yusuf. We are reaching you live on the network service of the NTA. And still to come, the newspaper review with Chukudi Okolugbaja. But before that happens, let's catch up on today's top stories with the birthday girl, Mina Daniels. Good morning, Mina. Happy birthday.
Thank you so much, Jumay and Victor. Thank you so much. Good morning. Here's the morning news. President Bola Tinubu has sworn in Professor Clement Dakas as the new chairman for the Nigerian Law Reform Commission. President Tinubu led the short ceremony before the commencement of the Federal Executive Council FEC meeting. The president also swore in Uchenna Eugene as commissioner in the same commission. Minute silence in honor of a two-time member, Audugbe, who passed away last week.
We will work with the National Assembly at this initial stage in the context of the ongoing constitutional review exercise. And we will also be deliberate about identifying and proposing for reform some of the very obsolete laws that we have. It will interest you to know that quite a number of our laws date back to colonial era.
The Federal Executive Council has commenced processes towards fast-tracking improvement in power supply situation across the country with approvals on procurement and debt servicing processes. This was one of the major decisions at the Council's meeting.
And that collaboration is going to be key in the ward-based initiative across 8,809 wards to provide, in all the 774 local governments, to provide funding, support, and facilitation to thousands of economically active individuals at the grassroots in each ward. And this is a way of addressing poverty, and ensuring, as Mr. President has promised, that no Nigerian will be left behind. So it's a collaboration between the federal, the states, and the local governments prioritizing productivity-enhancing investments.
The Federal Executive Council has directed that all procurement processes under the 2024 appropriation should be concluded by September 2025. This is one of the directives following the presentation of the Director General of the Bureau of Public Procurement, BPP Adebowale Adedoku, to the Council. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, announced a 6-point directive on public procurement at the briefing of the FEC meeting.
To the availability of funds to avoid unnecessary liabilities. The second one is that ministers are requested to forward to the BPP a comprehensive list of projects that have been awarded under their ministries and their parastatals for the 2024-2025 fiscal years for analysis and transmittal to the President's office. The third one is that ministries, departments, and agencies should give preference to made in Nigeria goods. Now, recall that the Federal Executive Council had earlier approved the Nigeria First policy, where a directive has been given to MDS to prioritize only made in Nigeria products unless and until there are situations where this, of course, is not possible.
President Bola Tinubu will depart Abuja today, Thursday, August 14th, for a two-nation trip to Japan and Brazil. The president will stop over in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, before proceeding to Japan. In Japan, President Tinubu will attend the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development in the city of Yokohama with the theme, Co-Create Innovative Solutions with Africa. TICAD 9 will focus on Africa's economic transformation and improvements in the business environment and institutions through private investment and innovation. While in Brazil, President Tinubu will hold a bilateral meeting with his host and attend the business forum with Brazilian investors. The federal government is providing a strategic platform for inclusive dialogue in the development of the steel industry in Nigeria. Vice President Kassim Shettima gave the assurance at the 2025 National Steel Summit in Abuja.
Technical and financial audit of Ajaokuta, approved by the Bureau of Public Procurement, is currently ongoing. It will inform our next steps and shape investor selection. Our journey is not limited to old dreams. We are building new pillars. We have launched the construction of 5 mini LNG plants in Ajaokuta. These are valued at over $500 million. The project is in partnership with NNPC Limited and private sector stakeholders.
The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, announces decisive resolutions on the recent incidents involving Ms. Comfort Emerson and music icon Wasiu Ayinde Marshall, popularly known as Kwam 1. In a statement through his special assistant on media, Tunde Moshood, the minister conferred with Ibom Airline to withdraw its criminal complaint against Comfort Emerson and to be released from Kirikiri Correctional Facility. The minister also conferred with the Airline Operators of Nigeria, AON, to lift the lifetime flying ban imposed on Ms. Emerson. On the issue of Kwam 1, the NCAA will reduce its flight ban to 1 month, and FAN will collaborate with him as a public ambassador for proper airport security protocol awareness. This decision marks a new era of stricter enforcement of aviation safety and security regulations, he added. An Ikeja Magistrate Court has struck out the charges against Ms. Comfort Emerson, the passenger accused of unruly behavior and assault on board Ibom Air aircraft flying Uyo en route Lagos on Sunday. Magistrate Olariwaju Salami discharged Emerson following the withdrawal of the 5 charges preferred against her by the police. The police prosecutor, Inspector Oluwabumi Edeita, informed the court that there were new developments that necessitated the withdrawal of the case. Edeita informed the court that they have an application from the Commissioner of Police, Lagos Airport Command, to withdraw the charge. Consequently, Magistrate Salami struck out the 5-count charges and discharged the defendant. And that's the news. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Victor and Jume after the break.
Toilets have stains which bleach cannot clean effectively. But Harpic is thicker and sticks better, which gives 10x better cleaning versus bleach and kills germs. Oh, wow. Can you see that Harpic is better than bleach?
Have you been aspiring to be a student of the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University Zaria to no avail? Worry no more, as you can gain entry through NTA Television College Jos, an affiliate of the renowned Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, where eligible candidates with a JAMB admissible scores of not less than 180 and 100 scores, and with 5 credits O-level in social sciences, including English and mathematics, can turn their passion in broadcasting to profession by applying for a BSc in Mass Communication and MBTE-approved innovation diploma courses in film and television production, broadcast journalism, and television engineering, respectively. The college, as a training hub with a pedigree of professionalism in the media space, also offers specialized courses in other related fields. For more information, visit our website at www.ntatvc.edu.ng or contact 080-33-834-343 and 080-69-809-897. Announcer Management.
We're not in a romantic relationship, we're in a brotherly relationship.
Friends with benefits.
Yeah, very bad boy.
No. Family relationship.
Who be your family?
Situationship.
Are you in a situationship?
It is well.
Survey says. Hey!
Onenge is my girlfriend.
You want judge? Fine God, say I hacked. An oversized shirt is okay to wear, but an oversized dash isn't.
Skirts.
Bro.
Shop.
Pants. Name something you add to your text to make them more interesting.
Emojis.
Stickers, pictures.
The way my back at the breathe, at the yada.
Gifts.
Survey says.
My birthday.
All right, we thank you so very much for staying with us. This is still Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. Let's now see what's buzzing on the front pages this morning. It's time for newspaper review.
Now, this newspaper reviewer, Chukudi Okolubaja, is in the studio. Chuks, good morning.
Good morning, Juma. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Victor?
Good morning.
You too, how are you doing?
Well, I'm fine.
You always have the privilege of being paired up with her. Aren't you lucky?
Thank God you say it's a privilege.
What a privilege.
Okay, let's quickly go to the papers, Mr. Chuks. I have the Blueprint newspaper with me. And in the Blueprint newspaper, above the masthead, NOA deploys 4,000 staff for nationwide campaign on flood and security. Find the details on page 7. And below the masthead, 2027, PDP not wooing Jonathan Obi or Logunagba. That is the details on page 6. Airport Ross comfort Emerson Kwam1 off the hook. Find the details on page 19. And in sports, Afro Basket, the Tigers outclassed Madagascar 77-59 in Group B opener. Details on page 32. And the side page of the picture story, 27 states FCT assessed 78.6 billion naira UBEC matching fund mid-2025. That's coming from the Minister of Education, Alausa. And below the picture story, FG halts establishment of new tertiary institutions for 7 years. With riders, says 199 varsities got less than 100 JAMB applicants. 34 had 0 last year, and 295 polytechnics with less than 99 COEs record poor enrollments. And the headlines: FEC approves 493 billion naira for Kano Katsina Road Carter Bridge. With a rider, OK 13 billion naira and $34 million transmission transformer upgrades. At the bottom, don't allow contracts without approval, MDA's warned. Armed forces critical to big tax revenue. That's coming from FRS chair. Details on page 19. And Shippers Council boss Akuta hails Tinubu'S love for Benue. And Ararumi NMPCL wins appeal, escapes 5 billion naira damages. Victor?
All right, Juma, thank you. I have the leadership here with me. And just above the nameplate, I am still in pain. Freed Ibom Air passenger Emanson says. K1's ban reduced. Emanson released after Keyamu's intervention. Freed lady offered 500,000 naira job. That story is on page 7. And just beside it, Tinubu names Odion, Rabiu as FCCPC executive commissioners. That's on page 19. And below the nameplate, peace sustained in Niger Delta by armed forces helped us meet revenue target. That's according to the FIRS. And what seems like the main story here, reactions as Tinubu orders review of revenue retention by NNPCL, others. That story is on page 4. Directs reassessment of oil companies' 30% management fee, 30% frontier exploration deductions. And the picture story details the release of Comfort Emanson from the Kirikiri Correctional Center. Amidst this tiny strip just above the main story, 1,500 escaped inmates recaptured in 15 years. Over 7,200 still at large. That story is on page 4. Wonder where they are. And just to the right, the blocks on the left, rather, we must keep animals in ranches to end farmer-herder clashes. That's according to the CDS, page 6. FG stops establishment of new varsities orders, page 6. PDP demands 100% loyalty, warns against anti-party activities, page 23. And finally, JAMB to screen over 500 underage candidates, September. That story is on page 8. FG tightens control over 2025 capital budget spending is on page 25. Chukwudi.
Right, did you almost bite the last one? Anyhow, let me start on a very welcome note. The peace that has been sustained in the Niger Delta has helped our revenue generation. Mm-hmm. Who doesn't like peace? I keep on remembering that wonderful man, Yaradua, President Yaradua. You know that the amnesty thing was his initiative, really. Yes. Good luck, Jonathan. Only started, continued what is,
predecessor.
His predecessor, initiated. So we keep on saying that it's better to Jojo than to war. Let's pray that more revenue will come, and the Niger Delta people will get a fair deal. Because of the environmental hazards that happen in that area. It is a telling blow to them. Even the flaring of gases is not helping matters there. Anyway, we go to the rather contentious one. That's the Kwam issue, as well as that of Comfort Emanson. I think somebody put on their thinking cap and decided that the mess looming is not one we want to be part of. Let me just say, good action has been taken over that matter. Because after listening to all of them, I wasn't there. I started seeing where this person maybe should have done this person maybe should have done that. And when the NBA waded in, I thought it was going to become battle royal. Those are things you don't want to remove your attention to real matters that confront the nation, you know. But the most important thing is that proper behavior is enlisted in public places so that the furor we experienced would not have arisen in the first place. There are things that should not happen. But then even when those things that should not happen, management of it is also very important, because whether you like it or not, humans will err from time to time. Yes, there's this one on NOA campaigning floods and security, and you want to ask, are they doing it in boats and their canoes? Because I always say that the best thing to do is to do these things well ahead of when the rains come. Let's not enlist energy because the Oba's job is happening today. You have to energize yourself well ahead of the assignment you're carrying out for the monarch. I'm trying in a very weak way.
They should have started the moment the prediction, the NIMET prediction was out, that was in, I think, in February. I think that was when they showed. But the rains are here already.
NIMET prediction is a seasonal geographical phenomenon.
Yes.
Attitude is the first prediction. Stop throwing that pure water sachet you used into the gutter. Stop blocking the drains. Stop building houses on the path of water, because the elements will always claim their space whether you like it or not. It could take them 100 years.
You left one.
What did I leave?
Stop giving approvals in the wrong places.
Yeah, but that's true. That's even
because those,
more questionable.
Most of them were given approval.
I agree with you totally. So it's a good thing we are talking now. But
water will always find its parts. If you sell the land that is on the water part, if the water comes, of course,
you can't stop natural phenomena. Whether you're talking the wind, the sun, or water, they will find their own course.
They will.
So you better plan them into your life and make sure you escape the ravages that might come from their happening negatively.
I lived on the riverbank in Maiduguri. That's
riverbank.
Yes, yes, we have a river.
Dear Jumai, how did you cope with mosquitoes?
When the water is coming, it's like the uproar when the sound when the water is coming scares me.
Of course,
even as a child then.
It's worse than the roar of a lion.
Yes. Yeah. The roar, it will roar. You can feel it.
You hear it, and you feel that calamity is on its way.
And that was one of the areas that was most devastated with the Maiduguri floods.
Yeah. The roar is actually a function of the volume that is coming.
That is coming.
That's how it happens. It's really unfortunate, you know, that these things.
And Chugodi, what do you say to FG stops establishment of new varsities?
You know, there's something my people say, leg full ground, but waka no day. I'm not attacking standard of education again. But the other day I said, I don't hear them quote Shakespeare the way we used to in those days.
Nah.
You know? They don't parade knowledge the way we did. You know, you're speaking Sosoibo, come on, your pocket. But the point is this: what is the quality coming from all the mushroom universities you're setting up? I think I side in with the federal government. People are saying the more the merrier, the more the opportunities and all that. Fine. They don't exhaust the admission quota in any of these sessions. So maybe they are outstripping the need. So it's not need really in this case. We are talking. And I'm one of those who tell you, these days, we were so excited. I took a hot 2-1 from Uniben. And so what? These days, I'm telling you, I'm asking you, what skills have you given that young man? Paper qualification, good though. But you now need to help people get into things that will fetch them a livelihood immediately. Yeah. Academics has its limitations. So let's learn to think broadly about what a man or woman needs to grow. Then the rush to acquire tertiary education and all that might begin to experience some moderation. That is my own opinion about it.
Okay, yes. Chukudi.
I think we should let you go. Just so that you have some tea and set off to a great day. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good Morning Nigeria. We'll be back after this break. Please stay with us.
Bleach cannot clean effectively, but Harpic is thicker and sticks better, which gives 10x better cleaning versus bleach and kills germs. Oh, wow. You can now see that Harpic is better than bleach.
Food security is national security, and where there is hunger, then the insecurity in that particular country will continue to remain. And so it is in everybody's interest, not just the government interest, but the private sector as well, to ensure that we have a very good agricultural policy that drives sustainable growth and then progress, of course, in its implementation. One of the things that we were doing and we stopped doing as a country is the operations of the storage facilities, the storage infrastructure, all the way to logistics, talking about farm mechanization, the vehicles that we need, the feeder routes, the construction of the feeder routes. The feeder routes are so called because they are not A-trunk roads. They are farmstead roads. I believe that if a considerable investment can go into the construction of feeder roads, then our machines, our transportation equipment would be a lot more efficient. There will be a lot of uptime, less downtime, and we will be able to, on good time, transport our produce from farm gate to either factory gate or market gate. Let us look at how we can make a dual use of our farm mechanization equipment so that when a tractor in the planting season takes a plow, a harrow, and it's able to prepare land, during the harvest and post-harvest season, you should be able to attach a bucket to that tractor to be able to take it to the nearest center where it can then be taken on. These are short and medium-term measures that we can take to boost productivity. We need to ensure that agriculture is practiced in the most acceptable and modern way possible. We need to make sure that the science of agriculture is indeed science. In other words, we are able to apply methods, we are able to apply resources into green agriculture, so that when we are fully migrated away from hoes and cutlasses and all of these menial tasks, which, by the way, have formed some impression in the mind of these young people, they will then be able to see how enjoyable and how profitable agriculture can be. We've seen a lot of digitization of the sector. There is digitization of agriculture today. We have precision agriculture. We also have climate-smart agriculture. All of these, of course, hydroponics, greenhouse agriculture, and all of these are actually a better way, a more excellent way of producing food in an organic manner, but a lot more smartly.
Yeah, if you're just joining us, this is Good Morning Nigeria. And to set the tone for our conversation, which borders on giant strides of President Tinubu's administration, let's begin with this background report put together by Ibrahim Belugunda.
Transportation is the wheel that drives socio-economic growth across the world, with the road subsector responsible for 90% of mobility in the case of Nigeria. One of the infrastructures that will accelerate the realization and transformation of the dreams and expectations of Nigeria's economic goal is the road infrastructure, which should be the leading subsector that the government should make capital investment in. The completion of ongoing or abandoned road construction projects with the construction of new durable and quality roads should be top priority for the government, considering its importance to socio-economic development of the nation. Recent reports indicate that routes like Port Harcourt Warri, Abuja Kaduna Kano, Kano Maiduguri, Gombe Yola, and Abuja Lokoja roads, among many other highways, are examples of roads that motorists go through with difficulty on a daily basis due to their deplorable condition. However, the federal government has carried out maintenance, especially along Kaduna-Abuja Highway, among others, but the amount allocated for road maintenance is grossly inadequate, considering the enormous responsibility which the maintenance of Nigeria's road infrastructure cutting across the 36 states of the Federation, including Abuja, represents. An assessment carried out by a team of experts indicated that it will require over 700 billion naira to carry out the task of maintaining federal roads nationwide. Like what is obtained across the world, experts believed government should explore and embrace alternative means of road construction that is cheaper, cost-effective, and suitable to climatic conditions in Nigeria. Some stakeholders are of the opinion that despite the substantial annual budget allocation for road construction, the level of implementation raises concern, especially looking at lives lost to accidents along the unmotorable roads. The process of delaying the funding of contracts also depletes government funds through frequent cost review of ongoing projects. It is worthy to note that the present administration has made gains in road construction with the mobilization of contractors back to site of abandoned projects, revoking of some unyielding road construction contracts, and the award for the construction of new roads projects. What is the situation of Nigerian roads? How can government improve its road infrastructure? This and more will be some of the questions guests on Good Morning Nigeria will find answers to on the program.
All right, many thanks, Ibrahim Bello Gunda, for that background report. But I won't take your word for it until I hear it from our guest. So joining us here in the studio to speak on the giant strides of President Tinubu's administration, let me welcome Ambassador Ephraim Ikechukwu Nwonu, Executive Director, Icon Global Foundation. We welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria.
You're welcome.
So you heard me say I won't take his word for it. So
we hear from the
cursory look before we go into specifics.
Let's look at
these giant strides.
All right. Good morning, gentlemen and lady. As a matter of fact, just as you rightly pronounced my name, some people most times they will find it difficult, probably because of different tongues, accent and what have you. Yes, I am Ambassador High Chief Ephraim Ikechukwu Nwonu, Executive Director of Icon Global Foundation, a leading NGO in Nigeria, who has actually been doing her best in complementing with governments and other organized bodies to address some highly topical issues that affect us as a people and nation. At this point in time, we got an approval and technical support from a Senate Committee on Information and National Orientation to organize a zonal workshop, to showcase the giant strides of Mr. President Tinubu in this past 2 years and still running. So actually, we are really very, very deliberate in this very effort because of the statistics we have gathered. We've actually painstakingly gone around the whole country. As an NGO, the watchdog of the society, we are non-partisan. We really want to let Nigerians know that Mr. President indeed has bear the card so far.
So you went around Nigeria. How was the reception like for Nigerians?
Very fantastic. My interest is to know that our membership, the membership of this organization, cuts across all the 774 local government areas in Nigeria. So we have our information, we have evidence, is highly empirical, to show indeed that actually Mr. President has lived up to the billings so far.
Now, one thing that has continued to reverberate is the removal of fuel subsidy. Of course, it has had the potential of impacting many areas. But in your opinion, how has this influenced the strides that the administration has made so far?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, before now, when that issue came up, of course, we are aware that if not that Mr. President has a good political goodwill, that strength is there. Perhaps he wouldn't have even removed such the subsidy, so to speak. And then going forward, after the removal, I want us to know that indeed that the increment of allocations, in state increments of allocations so far, is one of those achievements of this very oil subsidy. Maybe so many Nigerians are not aware. That's why if you ask most of them, they will always be telling you different stories as if the worst has happened. No. And this is one of the reasons our NGO want to carry out this program so that we can dispel these misinformations that have been peddled to Nigerians by some enemies of this administration. Just watch it. Almost all the whole states, as you speak, the allocations has increased, and I don't think we have ever experienced such kind of something in the country. We're only experiencing it under the administration of Mr. President. So, and there are other areas, 5 key areas that they have, this administration have achieved a lot, to include but not limited to this agriculture, as you are aware. Without food, we are not secured. And then this time around, so many things, so many foodstuffs are very, very cheap. And I'm very, very certain about that. And of course, speaking from my own background, as an Ebonyian, I'm from Ebonyi State, so a Gradient State. Sometimes people will say Benue is a food basket, but that's not the correct narrative.
So are you a farmer?
Yes, I am not just only a farmer, I'm a commercial one. I have a large hectare of land I farm, and I'm not just speaking as if I'm an urban gorilla, no. So this administration has really done a lot of incentives here across the country. Yeah, and then is it education? As you're aware, for the very first time in the history of Nigerian politics, students have their student loans. A lot of funds has been doled out to cushion the effect of their academic problems, particularly those indigent students. And then is it roads? You also aware that Mr. President, was deliberate, and then to have appointed, an expert, in the name of Engineer Devo Umar, His Excellency, the former governor of Ebonyi State, who now is the Minister of Works. You can see what he's doing across the country. Of course, he's only replicating, this time in a larger scale, what he did when he was the governor of Ebonyi State. So a lot of areas that this government have really fared well. But the truth is that most times some Nigerians would like to play politics over issues. That's why we want to take this pain of organizing this workshop so that we can put the records very straight.
No, it's a fact. Because of the removal of fuel subsidy, allocation has increased. But would you say that this has been justified across the states, particularly because this is where the people get impacted? And if the people, like you say, are, painting different narratives, it's probably because it is impacting their pockets. How do you assess this?
Well, for me, every normal human being, as Nigerians we are, most times we behave like Oliver Twist. I hope you understand. So we will always need more. Okay? To be honest, there's no way any reasonable Nigerian will say that this president is not working. It's working. And removing first subsidies is for our own good. It has translated, into a lot of goodies, such as this increment of allocations to all states. So if at all there is this rural-urban drift, I think Mr. President actually have not caused it. You get. If at all anyone should be blamed here, it shouldn't be Mr. President. it shouldn't be Mr. President.
Migration has always been part, man must migrate at times to survive. And you've been talking about the achievements, especially education, security. But insecurity has been battled by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We've seen the progress in that area. So how would you balance the administration's achievements with ongoing challenges such as inflation?
Okay. As far as I'm concerned, I hope you know that I'm not an expert in this area. You talk about inflation, we might have to enlist the service of experts, mostly economists, who can do justice on that.
Don't you have anybody in your NGO that...
Of course, we have. And that is why we want to really... Of course, the NGO, normally, we have designed it in a way that professionals will be engaged, seasoned technocrats, to really discuss, and then inform Nigerians adequately on all these key areas that Mr. President have done marvelously well.
And let's talk infrastructure, for instance, roads. Can you paint us a picture of the strides of the administration in terms of roads and how it may have improved the use of roads by Nigerians for their travels?
Of course, we have never had it this good, in that area. Just like I told you, that Mr. President having appointed a man who knows how to fix roads, the former governor of Ebonyi State, Engineer Devumai. You can see that if you move around, like in our own case, we've been traveling almost everywhere in Nigeria. I'm sure that this time around, roads are, fairly, very, very okay.
Are there specific examples?
Of course, take for instance, traveling from Abuja now to Maiduguri, on a monstrous note, is a very wonderful road.
Except for the Abuja-Kaduna road.
Which is on course. The Minister of Works is doing his best. Everywhere, is it southeast? It's not that most Nigerians. Of course, it's on course.
It's on course.
On course.
So how will the Lagos-Calabar, coastal highway and Sokoto-Badagry superhighway projects impact the country's transport sector and work on the economy?
It's going to be very, very wonderful. By the time
that road leads to Ebonyi State too.
Of course, that is why we can't joke with Mr. President. Not just only Southeast Zone, every zone. Look at the establishment of the regional offices, to really drive down this democracy dividends to the people. That would tell you that Mr. President is highly passionate. He's a compassionate leader. We've not had his kind of person in Nigeria leading us. In fact, if you don't mind, let me even tell you, for instance, like I was telling you, most of the key areas they have performed creditably well. I want us to also look at major interventions approved by this administration under the able leadership of President Tinubu. For instance,
approved, you said?
Yeah, this has been approved. These major interventions are approved by this present government. You understand? And that is because of that removal of fuel subsidy. That's been the topic, the burning issue here. You understand, in the country. For instance, for recapitalization of Bank of Industry, 1.5 trillion naira have been approved. For Kano Railway project, you mentioned, Madam, 1.5 trillion naira also have been approved. 45.9 billion to supply 8,800 primary health care centers under health. 1.2 trillion for special power interventions and World Bank backed electrification project. As you are aware, these days we're almost having a stability in this area. You understand? Unlike what we used to experience before. Before now, it has always been this epileptic life supply and what have you. But these days, it's stabilizing. Okay, again, look at 18 billion naira cleared in insurance areas for military personnel to boost their morale and support security operations. Now, we have another $3.5 billion for rehabilitation of Eastern Rail Line. We have another 4 point. I want you to be taking this figure, and Nigerians should be. That's why I say we're deliberate.
I'm sure Nigerians are.
So, and all these figures, they can verify it. There are no allegory, there are no fiction. These are real figures that have been approved. Do you understand? That's why I say work is in progress, okay? And then the need for Nigerians to continue to support this administration. You understand? There should be this trust. They should keep trusting the government. This government is really leading us to the promised land. It's a matter of time. You understand? 2 years can't just be enough for people who are talking here and there. By the time we make these figures available in a manner of exercise books, you know, and other key areas that the government have performed.
For students in schools.
Students to have it, civil servants, teachers, and what have you. So nobody can be misinformed because a lot of misinformation are out there, and we need to put the record very, very straight. Do you understand?
Okay, President Tinubu have always said that food security is very, very important for any nation. If your people are fed well, government work will go well too. So how sustainable, you know, is grain and fertilizer distribution as a food security strategy?
Of course, as you are aware.
Because most farmers are complaining they can't access fertilizer.
No,
they can't get it. But now the president has said fertilizer should be available for farmers. But
of course,
accessibility is the issue here.
Okay, then that is another problem because you can see how compassionate our president is to have made fertilizers accessible to farmers. You understand? And he can't force anybody. For instance, it's not his duty, you understand, to make sure that an average farmer in the grassroots will access the fertilizer. You understand? It has to be the local government chairman that have to do that. And this is a president that have shown considerable amount of, love for the people at the grassroots. You know what happened last year, July Supreme Court decision. He has always been that man, whose love for the masses is second to none. So, and knowing fully that agriculture, food security is the way to go, without which, of course, you and I would take him here, for instance. So he's doing his best. And like I said, everything, all this is on course.
Since you have talked about local government, are you satisfied with the level of implementation? Would you say that has now, impacted positively Nigerians at the grassroots level?
Of course, that decision of the Supreme Court is on course. Its implementation is on course. Seriously on course. All we have to do is to remain patient, if need be, also prayerful, because the same God who made it possible for such a decision to come up will also make it possible to fully and finally be implemented.
What measures would you say the administration has taken in terms of security, and how has this helped to stabilize security across the country? What are the strides here?
You remember when I mentioned the money doled out to personnel of the army, is to encourage to boost their morale. There's a lot of funds that have been injected in that area.
Into security, yeah.
Yes.
We're actually seeing it.
The president has been very deliberate in making sure that security issue of the country becomes the thing of the past. We all need to be patient. After all, is anybody trying to tell us that he's the one who started this insecurity? No. So for instance, imagine 18 billion naira, have been cleared, in insurance areas for military personnel to boost their morale. Okay, how is this? It will also support
the security operations.
Okay, with all this money that has been given to the security, how has the recent security operation significantly reduced all theft and insurgency, especially in the Niger Delta?
I don't think it is still...
That's what I'm asking. How has it helped in reducing it?
It has. Dramatically, it has.
Okay.
People move freely now in that region without the usual complaint, and everything. So it's work in progress.
It's work in progress.
Let's talk about health. One of the major challenges that Nigerians have had up till this time is, having to pay out of pocket for their healthcare needs. In your opinion, how has the administration changed the narrative in this regard? Are Nigerians now better able to deal with their health challenges with government support?
Of course. Of course, you know that life is an essential thing for all of us. And Mr. President being a compassionate leader, have been very, very up and doing in that area. For instance, look at 45.9 billion naira that have been approved to support 8,800 primary health care centers. Of course, that is the basis, primary health care centers. And I will always insist that work is in progress, whether one likes it or not.
But you do know that approval is not released exactly, because it is when release happens that the impact is felt across board.
First of all, let us tackle it one at a time. Approval has been given. Do you understand? Nothing is a rocket science here. For sure, the money must be released. You understand? The money must be released. And are you trying to tell me that 2 years is enough for all this mess to be cleared?
So has your NGO been able to track the release of these funds?
We are on it.
Okay.
And we can assure Nigerians that definitely nobody will play any pranks about the release of this approved funds.
All of the amounts you are listing.
I will still come back here to assure Nigerians again that indeed, let us, of course, you see, the problem most Nigerians has that we always like to politicize almost everything. Understand? For instance, look at what is going on now in the political area. Thank God I'm not here as a politician. You understand? I'm
You're speaking like a politician.
I'm not one. I'm doing my work. I work as a,
NGO.
Yes, NGO, the watchdog of society. But you see out there, people who are making a hell of noise, hitting the polity, gathering, calling it coalition. I don't know what they call it, coalition or what have you. And let me remind Nigerians, all these gatherings, nobody should be distracted. Any gathering, our Bible, you understand, which, of course, as a Christian, I know that Bible is a mirror that tells and teaches us the true position of our lives. This moral agronom has made it clear. It says that every or any gathering, for that matter, that is not of the Lord, definitely must scatter.
Okay, so
I'm very confident that all this they are gathering, you know, instead of supporting the government to deliver on their mandates, they are busy gathering, talking trash and everything. And what's that their name? They call them ADC, which in our own...
Is that what they call them?
ADC. But I think that the meaning is amalgamation of...
Let's not deviate.
Amalgamation of disgruntled compatriots.
Chief, let's not
that
deviate.
Should be disbanded. No Indian should take them
Listen
seriously.
to me. Let's deviate from politics now, because we are not here to talk about politics. We're talking about the achievements of President
Which I've already...
So in your view, which of the giant strides of President Tinubu will have the most lasting impact in Nigeria?
Agriculture, education.
Talk about it.
I've already told you the much that has been done in this area of agriculture.
Yes.
And then coming to education, you are aware, for the very first time in Nigerian political history, an average indigent student has Christmas he or she is celebrating. It has never been like that. That's why when people are talking, they will always not understand that this president is a highly compassionate leader.
So a lot of people have been saying that women and youth empowerment...
Women are happy everywhere.
Okay. And the youths, because they constitute at least 70% of voters.
Of course, yes.
And at the end of the day,
of course,
yes,
you will be so many Nigerians will be surprised that. Anyway, I don't want to go for it because, like I said, I'm not here as a politician, but I know definitely that come 2027, support, of course, in an organic manner, must be harvested for this for Mr. President, because he has done marvelously well.
What are the strides in technology? You know why I ask about technology? Everything today is technology. The youths are engaged thanks to technology. How would you describe the strides of this administration in that area?
Technology?
Yes.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the ministry is really doing her best.
Yes.
And of course, Mr. President has also been a compassionate leader, you know, in his wisdom, appointing such a minister. I can assure you that in no distant time now,
yes,
an average youth of this country will have a reason to say yes, to God be the glory, that it is well with them.
So we have to remind our viewers that if you have questions for our guests here in the studio, you can send them through the number on your screen on our WhatsApp and text messages. We appreciate your input into this conversation. So in your opinion now, what lessons can future governments, learn from Tinubu's first 2 years in office? Because he has achieved so much in 2 years. So how can future governments be able to emulate what he has put on ground?
You mean future government as in after this first tranche, 4 years?
No, after he must have left office. What lessons?
Okay, after his 8 years tenure, fine.
Yes.
Definitely, to me, it's going to be a very big shoe
to fill.
Yes, for the incoming whatever after his 8 years.
Why do you say that?
Of course, before now, have we had this kind of compassionate leader, president? Look at, youths, for the students, look at the student loan. You understand?
So in your area,
since the advent of democracy, have we had this kind of
how many students have benefited
from your area?
A lot of them. The statistics, like I said, everything will be gazetted. All this whole thing will be put down, in this manner. Exercise books.
Okay.
To be shared freely. We will
all schools in Nigeria.
All schools in Nigeria.
Primary, secondary.
Everyone will have this exercise book containing all the key
Let's
achievements.
See it. Can you show it so that the camera can?
Of course.
No, the front. No, just the front.
Yeah, the key
so
achievements.
The camera can pick it up.
Yes.
So that
Yes.
So that's
all students in Nigeria, teachers, civil servants, everyone, because we need to dispel this misinformation that some enemies of the democracy, president of this administration, are peddling. You understand? We are very, very deliberate in our effort. This exercise book will contain most of all this, and our figures are no, like I said, this is no literature. Everything about what I've said here are real. Anyone can verify it.
Okay, you say subsidy removal was necessary, but has it really lowered cost for the average Nigerian?
What I'm talking is a gradual process. Like I said, all this is our course and promising. Yeah. Sometimes, like for instance, most of all this can be likened to a pregnant woman. For the start, the moment it's not usually easy. But at the end of the day, every woman that took in, definitely will also, by the grace of God, put to bed. And at that point, you see gladness and everything,
Happiness.
Yeah, of course.
Does the administration have challenges so that Nigerians can also understand areas that may not be very satisfying, what the challenges are, and they'll be able to understand with government?
The challenges they have is that, as you are aware, of course, that can be handled fine by experts, economists. Of course, we know with our elementary knowledge that if resources are scarce, chances are that most of your needs may not be met, and that's why we have what we call a scale of preference. Attending to those ones you can attend, and of course, in the manner that is what we call wants.
Which means that all the approvals you talk about may not become releases. Not all.
No, they will
become releases.
No, they will.
Because of scarcity of funds.
No, definitely, especially those key areas. You understand? Nobody is playing politics about education as you're aware. Is it health, road? You
security.
Understand? Security, most importantly. You understand? It's fairly well now. Moving around, you may not necessarily have to talk about, your own challenge, of insecurity and everything.
So I need to take a step back. What prompted you to have interest, in to float this NGO that would, show what the administration is doing and enlighten Nigerians on how good this administration is to Nigerians?
Okay.
Since you say you've gone around the country and you've been able to talk to Nigerians and they've accepted the fact that, yes, this administration is doing its best to alleviate the sufferings of Nigerians, take them out of poverty, because President Tinubu said we are looking at a 1 trillion economy.
Yes.
So what prompted you to float this NGO to enlighten people and get people, inform people on the achievements of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
Okay. For instance, I remember telling you here that you may also wish to know that our NGO is not a baby NGO.
Okay.
It has been in operation since 2009. We have always been saddled with the responsibility of, organizing programs in collaboration with governments and other organized bodies to address some highly topical issues that affects us as a people and nation. And of course, this one, under reference, is also going to add to those programs that our NGO have been organizing. We are just very deliberate. I will always insist on. So, our effort is to make sure that Nigerians, get highly informed, on the programs of government. We need to dispel the misinformations that have been peddled here and there by, most enemies of this administration. So we are practically doing our work as the watchdog of the society, and we cannot. It's not an easy work, but we must do it because we have really elected to do it.
You love to do it.
Especially as we have the approval as I speak. Before now, you would have known that we got the approval from the Senate Committee Chairman, the Senate Committee on Information and National Orientation. So the technical support is the reason we are really up on our feet to organize this very program, which we will also invite you. It's coming up by next month.
Okay.
The kickoff will start in Abuja, in North Central.
Okay.
Where all stakeholders, including you people, and will have to come. Then professionals, the technocrats, experts will be enlisted. Their services will be enlisted to do justice on all these, areas that the president have left.
One aspect that we've not talked about is the power sector. Nigeria has, we have 6,000 megawatts of electricity now in Nigeria, but still there are complaints.
Let me tell you.
Okay.
You see, if I don't know, because assuming you will give me more time, you will appreciate that in my area and other places, like I remember telling you before now that for the very first time in Nigerian history, we are almost having stability in that area.
Yes,
So
because of the
supply.
power issue, most companies left Nigeria because they are paying more money to run generators to do their business. So how can government bring them back?
That one is their business. They know why they are running away.
Okay.
Maybe just like I said, maybe they must have been influenced by some bad eggs in Nigeria, enemies of the administration. Why running away? What are they going to? They shouldn't be running away because electricity supply is stabilizing, and all these things are on course. It's not a rocket science. We have to be patient. Seriously, yeah, we have to be patient.
But there are foreign companies. The patience we have in Nigeria itself, because we are citizens of
those
Nigeria.
are highly politically motivated.
And business is all about making money.
Exit, if you don't mind.
Okay.
They are highly politically motivated.
Okay.
It is the enemies of the government that must have engineered them to run away. They can run to hellfire. Nobody cares.
All right. Juma, you have some messages?
No, I don't.
Okay. I think I have two here.
Okay, can you please tell?
One is from Abdul Hamid Mukhtar here in Abuja. It says, good morning. One thing I like and encourages me about the present administration is that all the ministers are on their toes.
Yes.
All of them. It's a sign that they are here to work and take Nigeria to the promised land. May God Almighty help us all. All right, and the second message is from Akeju Olagbaju. He says, today's edition isn't something that I can thumb up. An important topic to show the present administration's giant strides deserves better discourse. I believe there are a lot of people in this administration that can drive the message home for many Nigerians to digest. All right.
So can you respond to that?
Like I said, thank God for this last, the message from that patriotic Nigerian. We are just trying to do our own bid, and like I said, it has to be a teamwork. It has to be a teamwork.
With government and Nigerians.
Yes.
All coming on board.
Yes.
Okay. That is beautiful. Well, time is up for you now. Ambassador High Chief Ephraim Ikechukwuwanu, Executive Director, Icon Global Foundation. Thank you so much for coming and shedding more light on what your NGO is doing.
Thank you.
So we'll be monitoring and tracking to see how you're able to influence Nigerians to understand that this government is really working and the achievement is all there to see. Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
We'll take a break. When we return, our conversation will continue. Don't go away.
We can change the narrative about Nigeria. When people talk about Nigeria, they talk negatively about it most of the times. So it's the role of the filmmakers to now bring that positive side of Nigeria for the world to understand that Nigerians are more than the negative information they used to get. And we can do that digitally because in those days, you have to communicate or go for lectures for people to understand where you're coming from. But now you have these platforms. Everything you have can go on these platforms. People will see globally. Look at Nigeria on Netflix. It's doing really very well. When Nigerian films premiere on Netflix, you find out that they're in the top 5 or top 10 in most of the European countries, Asian countries, and all other parts of the world. So this is one of the ways through which we can be able to export that, or do that cultural exchange.
How much of being a Nigeria cultural ambassador are you? And we're all guilty of this. Most of us Nigerian filmmakers are guilty. So here we see a good number of us telling stories that are still Western culture dominated. From the naming of your characters, from the writing of your story, the characters are named English names. What happens to Yoruba names? What happens to Hausa names? What happens to Igbo names? What happens to Tiv names? What happens to our cultural epic names? Oh, they say, but they will not be able to pronounce it. Oh, leave that to them. Do we pronounce their own names? We have to be intentional about how we represent our culture, knowing now that the world is a global space and you don't need people's permission. Everything you do, directly or indirectly, intentionally or unintentionally, you're putting the Nigerian story out there. I think we should begin to make conscious attempts at creating our own streaming platforms. So we thank God for giant streaming platforms like Prime Video. We thank God for giant streaming platforms like Netflix and the rest of them. But what happens if today or if tomorrow we come up with our own Nigerian Netflix?
You're welcome back. Now let's turn our attention to something truly inspiring. That's local youth action for the SDGs and beyond. It's all about how Nigerian youths are stepping up right in their own communities to drive progress on the Sustainable Development Goals.
Absolutely, Jumai, and from tackling poverty and improving education to championing climate action and healthcare. These young people aren't just talking about change. They are rolling up their sleeves and making it happen.
And it's not without its challenges, but with every hurdle, there's also opportunity, and we'll be hearing how youth-led projects are not only addressing local issues, but also leaving a lasting impact that reaches far beyond their communities.
So get ready for stories that will make you proud. Now, these are young Nigerians taking ownership of the SDGs and in the process, shaping a brighter future for us all. I'm now joined here in the studio by
Simea Michael. He's the founder of the Global Goals Community Center. We have other guests that we're expecting who will be joining us in the course of the conversation. Simea, it's good to see you. At least physically, after knowing you on the social media for almost 15 years, it's good to see you live.
The day I was going to Maiduguri was the day you were coming to Abuja.
Exactly, yeah, we met at the airport, exactly. The day I was transferred back to Abuja. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much.
Tell us what's going on in the youth world, because I call it a world.
Yeah.
Youth, it's a world in itself that we boomers don't even understand what is going on right now. So tell us.
So, well, unfortunately, as much as we wanted to remain very young and continue to be enjoy the title of that youthfulness, I think we are so fast growing, and I'm hungry about that. I wish, against the ties of time, I can remove so many numbers from my age. But basically, globally, I think there's a new trend of awareness, and self-consciousness as regards young people. Young people are becoming more pragmatic. They are taking responsibilities. They are participating aggressively in, no longer sitting back and complaining, but, being part of the solutions and creating the kind of world they want to see. And largely, I think, to some of us who had labored in this field for 1 or 2 decades, I think we're proud of what we are seeing, today. Yeah, we're proud of what we're seeing today, especially in Nigeria. Yeah, in Nigeria, there's been a progressive layer. Globally, when global opportunities are publicized, you want to see the number of young people in Nigeria that submit brilliant ideas. It confuses every opportunity desk around the world. I'm participating in one currently, and we're providing young people from 4 African countries with some seed funding. And Nigeria, Chad, Cameroon, and Niger within the Lake Chad region. Out of the over 4,000 applications that came in, Nigeria had almost about 3,000 plus. And then
Nigerian youths.
Yeah, Nigerian youths, below 35. And then by the time we were looking at how do we pick the best among the best, we had more than 2,000 ideas that vibrantly speak to specific problems within the communities. And this tells the story of how involved young people in Nigeria are to building the kind of world they want to see. Yeah.
Yes, they want to build the kind of world they want to see. So how is your agency or movement integrating the SDGs into local, development plans, and what role do you see for the young people as part of your plan?
So, Nigeria is demographically blessed, with youth population. To a lot of people, it's a concern, and it's It's something that has, you know, in a lot of hands have been misused because, yeah, the population without equitable or intentional investment into their capacity has led into so many disadvantages. People have used them, you know, because of their vulnerability, but to a large extent, we have also seen how important the number is in building a robust democratic, you know, community, and also building a very versatile entertainment industry, in building a sustainable agricultural, you know, sector. And, you know, before now, we have clamored on intentional investment and creating of opportunities. One of the things we have seen, just as the gender, you know, equity campaign, is that if there is no intentional, you know, opportunity creation for young people, there is a global landscape that doesn't provide equitable access for people of lesser age. You know, we think it's just about Nigeria. This is not something about Nigeria. It's everywhere in the world. You know, when you get to the US, when you get to the government, you know, places, people who make decisions, and everywhere decisions are made, young people are not provided opportunity to be on the table. Okay, even though they are the drivers of what is happening behind the scene. But when it comes to designing and making decisions anywhere in the world, young people, women are still of high disadvantage. So it's not exclusive to Nigeria. But the thing is, we have now seen young people, especially people who now have access as a result of technology. It's obvious. Sitting down and complaining seems not to be helping or solving the problem. You can imagine people like us who came from nowhere. I used to tell people in my village, if you shout too much in the beginning of the village, the person at the end of the village will hear you. In the days when we were growing, it was such days when you can't even ask for sandal to wear to school. I remember in my primary school days, I went to school barefooted. It was those, yeah, man. It was those days when your shirt would tear at the back.
Or they pass me down uniform.
Thank you so much. You patch until you start just using it like that. It was those days when you put gari inside your shirt pocket and you put you know palm kernel to. But how that has changed as a result of not holding people, you know, tight to be responsible to whatever happens to your life. Yeah. And now we're seeing more young people leading in this regard. So providing access to education, providing access to renewable and recyclable activities and opportunities. You know, in every quarter around Nigeria, we've seen great examples of young people causing inspiration.
I like the fact that you went back, you know, took us back, you know, on memory lane to the community. Yeah. So what, in your view, you know, are specific, you know, policies or programs that exist now to support youth-led SDG initiatives at the community level? Because that is where everything begins.
So, let's take education, agriculture, and climate, for example. So today, globally, one of the key things we are advocating for is education that provides problem-solving ability. Okay. In the past, our headache around education is access, enrollment, you know. But today, we've seen that ability to read and write is no longer the gateway to empowerment. You know,
you must have skills to back it up.
You know, these skills, and when we're talking about these skills, I think some of the issues we have also discussed with the Ministry of Education is confusing the skill around the, you know, vocational skills into cognitive and you know, skills of problem solving. There are a lot of people who have vocational skills that the Ministry of Education has, you know, are now embraced into, you know, learning in schools. You can make fashion, you can make furniture, you can make, but you don't have interpersonal relationship. You don't have, you know, communication skill. You can't persist. You have character, you know, defect that will not sustain your ability to even market, you know, the skills that you have possessed. So now we, from the global perspective of core skills delivery in classroom, we're looking at the government intentionally shifting grants to allow, because we're operating in the same global market. Okay, so we can have people coming out of our education facilities, but you know, a little below the standard of what other people globally are producing. Okay, when you go places and you see the smallest of ideas and how people are milking success from it, and then people in Nigeria having, you know, have struggle with how even self-confidence, you know, if passed it down to agriculture. Okay, so the government makes a lot of promises. I listened to the person who left here. You know, even though you said, let us not talk about politics, but he struggles to remain within. Yeah, it is easy, and it is going to be very, very unreasonable for us to just say a president comes to office and he does not know what he's doing. Nobody does that. Everybody comes with a good intention, but the reality is, no matter how your intentions are, does it serve the reality that is on the table? Okay, so some of the realities that we are facing is, one, we have huge youth population. Is our policy moving at the speed with which the population we are serving is moving? Is it measured in such a way that it's producing short, medium, and long-term solutions that are needed to paddle, you know, the resilience with which the population we're serving needs to be served? And third, are we communicating part-time how we are intentionally mainstreaming these policies to serve, you know, what we need to serve? So there are some of these, we're struggling with those things at the moment. And that's why when you see a lot of young people across the country agitating and, you know, clamoring, you know, if I work for government, for example, I would do less of defense and more of communication.
All right, thank you very much, Samir Michael. Let me now introduce here in the studio Chifobi Namwaka, who is Director General Committee of Youth on Mobilization and Sensitization. We thank you very much for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, sir.
Let's give Samir Michael a break and run you into the program.
You're welcome.
What are those SDG goals that are related to the youth? And how can we help to harness the talents of our youth that Samir Michael has copiously talked about to, you know, meet those SDG goals as a country?
Okay, thank you very much for having me, and happy International Day celebration to young Nigerians. And in line with your questions, globally, in line with United Nations, we have 17 goals. And if you look at those 17 goals, in line with the team as well, you can all recall that education, the team. the team talks about localizing the SDG.
Okay.
Yeah. Call to youth action. And if you look at some of the questions you ask, looking at about education for all, talked about gender inequality, talk about clean environment and green energy. Let us not talk about more about how it affects the young people, but let us also focus on the policies of the federal government, how young people can be empowered, clean environment and renewable energy. Look at the issue of compressed natural gas, which is CNG. Mm-hmm. The government is making efforts to ensure that our environment is not just clean, but provide opportunity whereby young people, potentials can be harnessed, and they can also be given employment or become employment level. How are they going about these things? One is, over the years, we've been depending on fuel consumption. The past administration made several efforts to ensure that our environment is clean when it talks about renewable energy. But this current administration have introduced, and executive order has also been passed during the FEC meeting, to emphasize that yes, the compressed natural gas will not just be talked about when it comes to advocacy-wise, but also to be encouraged. Look at everywhere. Most of our vehicles today is CNG uses, and a lot of young people.
Did you say most?
Yes. Yes, not just some, most. You know, people like you are elite.
Really?
Yes, you are elite. No, you're not really engaged in most of these commercial drivers. Mm. Many of them, they have converted their vehicles into CNG. Mm-hmm. And who are the people converting these vehicles into CNG uses? These are young people. So another aspect is the education for all. The current administration is also ensuring that now we have to talk about their fund. The NEFO did not just provide loan for our young people. The NEFO has also provided job opportunity for other Nigerians. A few days ago, or a few weeks ago, many Nigerians are celebrating in our tertiary institutions that they have received their loan. And this has given hope to the hopeless. People like us, when we secure admission into University of Nigeria, Nsukka, our parents were crying. There was no money to send Obina to school. If this now fund has been initiated and put into place, in the 20s, when I went to university, by now I would have become a professor. So, talks about the gender inequality. Now, the current administration is also doing well. If you look at our Federal Executive Council today, and the people that have been gainfully employed, given opportunity to serve in the government appointments and other views, the current administration has also given our women sense of belonging. So the administration is doing well to make sure that some issues that are in line with our SDGs are properly addressed, and unnecessary young people will take.
What is the place of the youth themselves in all of this? Now, you've talked about a lot of how the youths are benefiting here and there, but how are the youth contributing to achieving, localizing and achieving the SDG goals?
Number one, they are giving sense of belonging and they are getting involved. The platform have been created. Conducive environment is being ensured so that they will also contribute to the localization of, in line with the team that we're talking about today. How? There is a financial autonomy. This financial autonomy is to strengthen our local government system. And when this is being put into place properly, I believe the current administration, they are fully enforced it and they are in line. The young people will play a very critical role in our local government good governance. Today, we have a lot of young people that have been given tickets in various political parties, especially from the FCT. If you go to Buhari Area Council, Shokolo Haruna Audi is a candidate of the All Progressive Council in Buhari. Here in Amak, the vice chairmanship candidate, Yusuf Nabado, is also youth. These people are just 41, 40. You understand? So they are doing everything possible. It's not just about how they can harness it and contribute their own quota. Now,
the young people itself, their sense of belonging has been going through. We even know that the Ministry of Youth, Honorable Ayodele Olawande, has also done well in this current administration. And you can also agree with me, since the history of Nigeria, this is the first time that we are having a youth who is also a youth minister. And the essence is that is to reawaken the consciousness of Nigerians.
Can we go back a little? At the beginning of the founding fathers of this nation were youths. From the prime minister, they were youths.
No, what about the population that we are talking? The population, the education.
Yes.
No, if you have...
Because, because you said in the history of Nigeria, this is the first time.
First time.
So I want to remind you that...
No, I said the first time we have a minister of youth who is also a youth.
Okay.
And these persons understand the body language, the challenges, the plight, and the predicament of young Nigerians. And if you see so many programs that have been put into place during this administration, it has given a lot of millions of young people a sense of belonging. Recently, Mr. President inaugurated the National Youth Confab Planning Committee, 44 members, which I'm fortunate to be among them. What is the essence of this youth confab? It's just to give young people a sense of belonging. Come, let us discuss about technology, how it can favor you. Let us discuss about education, how it can favor you. Let us discuss about governance. Is the governance of this country working well for you? This is the essence. And recently, you can also recall and agree with me that the Interior, they just concluded the registration application for the recruitment into civil defense, immigration. Look at the age bracket that we are talking about. 13 years below, 18 to 35 years. Before, it used to be only 18 to like 28 years. The essence is that they want people to contribute in localizing in line with the SDG and the goal. So young people are giving a lot of source of belonging. And if you see a lot of them now, they are ensuring that yes, they contribute their own quota to the development of our country. But however, we should be encouraging what? Local community engagement and contribution. Yes, many of us here today, we have abandoned our local community. So the awareness in this team is go back to your grassroots. Look at a way and how you can contribute to your local communities. When the local communities everything is being put into place, education is there, employment is there, the security is also there. We are going to have high rates of reduction when it comes to the rural and urban migration. So, the reason why we're having congestion in our society is this migration. And when all these things be put into place, I want to bet and also assure you that young people, youth, they don't even have any reason to be seen in our metropolitan city.
So what are effective ways to localize the SDGs for youth participation? Before you answer that, I would like to remind our viewers that we are expecting your WhatsApp messages or text messages so that you can contribute and ask your questions to our guests here in the studio. So how can we localize the SDGs? Because we are celebrating the Youth Day today. The SDGs for youth participation locally. Because every country globally have their own way of implementing the SDG goals. So how can we in Nigeria, localize the SDGs for youth participation?
Number one is that localization of this SDG, so many measures must be put into place, which I know that young people cannot just be seen in anywhere in the local communities without one, ensuring that there is adequate security. When there's adequate security, which I'm sure and I'm convinced, and I give kudos to this present administration, they are doing well when it comes to combating the high rate of our... It has reduced, unlike before. That's why I can say our farmers' production, agro production, have increased. When security has been put into place, young people don't like stress. They like to be where they can harness their potential and contribute to the community development as well. Two, if we can strengthen our local government system, many of them will not be seen in the capital city, wandering up and down, submitting CV, looking for white-collar job. Because these people, they are gifted. Three, when the environment and they can provide them with adequate funding so that they can also invest in their expertise. The federal government is doing well. The Nigerian Youth Investment Fund has been increased to 150 billion naira. from the previous government approved the sum of 75 billion naira, but right now is 150 billion naira. But this money can be effectively used when we are identify the real people and there's conducive environment. These people, the young people, are ready to create jobs for other younger generation. So if we can make sure that the security is being tackled completely and the local government system is being strengthened, and also continue with this line of education. And I'm glad that Mr. President have released executive order that there shall not be further establishment of federal universities.
Tertiary
institutions. Now let us now focus on the technical institution,
all right,
where the federal government is providing financial stipend support for the students. Now, when this and you know this technical institution are not just domiciled in the city, they are domiciled in our local communities.
Yeah.
The young people will do what? They will now go back to the local community,
all right,
to enhance themselves.
Thank you.
Okay, before you go to Victor, let me take this message that came in. Akeju Olagbaju said the demographic disposition of Nigeria obviously is well positioned to confer advantage for the youth to drive the national development. The current administration obviously recognizes this and infused some of the millennials into government, and so far they are doing well. However, we still need to do more to reduce youth unemployment to renew their hope.
All right, Samir Michael, let me get back to you. Now, Obinna has talked a lot about jobs being provided. He's talked about opportunities in governance. But I'm looking at the other side of it, which you are probably more vast in looking at. Is the environment, the atmosphere, is it conducive enough for the youth to thrive when we talk about technology, for instance? Knowing how much technology can do, you know, for the entire country.
Well, so I appreciate my brother. I'm not a government. I don't know much about many of these things, but
that's why I'm asking you about the one you know.
I believe it is difficult not to note some of the obvious challenges. Today in Nigeria, I think, so for us, we've built just 3 windows for young people for the remaining 5 years we have for the SDGs. You know, since I started attending the UN General Assembly in 2018, we've kind of say prophesied that we won't achieve the SDGs, and while some part of the world, places like Denmark, you know, Sweden, they're making vast, you know, progress. Country like Nigeria, I think at the last time we were about 152 on the dashboard, which is a little challenging. But zeroing, you know, just zooming down on what can we focus on. You know, one is agriculture, which we now have a lot of young youth examples in Nigeria that they are driving. Okay, I'm happy he has mentioned some possible investment. Okay, but notwithstanding, we're also seeing partnerships, collaborations. We're also seeing some other angel investors. We're also seeing young people accessing global funds, you know, from different global sources. One of the things that has helped young people in Nigeria critically well is access to global opportunities, okay, which has helped, you know, rake in investments. Some of the work we do today as a result of that. We had investors, you know, from around the world helping in that regard. Two is this technology that you have mentioned, which is youth-led entrepreneurship initiatives. This, we need to see how we drive more. We have a lot of young, there's nowhere in the world where government employ everybody. In fact, where that happens, that country is aiming for collapse. Everywhere in the world, we need to build a system that supports robust entrepreneurship activity. That's why the issue of technology is very important. Today, data is still extremely, very, very expensive in Nigeria. Okay, you go to UK, for example, once you, sometimes I was in the US, somebody gave me phone to call, and I'm like, so I spoke for 1-2 minutes, and I gave him his phone back. He said, no, talk. No, I don't want to waste your credit. And he was like, no. It's, well, even if you call 3 hours or 200 hours for the rest of the month, I am hooked up on all those kind of a thing. So in Nigeria, people still off and on data because you don't want to. This month alone, I don't know how much I have subscribed. Okay. And then you still have to switch. You see people carry 2-3 phones. I have condemned that behavior. But along the line, you see that you still have to switch between one network, to the other to be able to survive at a point or time. So this limits some of the thriving energy of the young people.
Because affordability.
It's, so I see the Minister of Bosun, for example, because he came from our sector, he's doing a lot. But it's just like this popular saying that water don't pass Gary. So we have a big challenge that is facing us. But driving young people through agricultural sector, through and self-led entrepreneurship initiative, and lastly, community projects. Because we barely have 5 years in our hand, and the SDG is glaringly looking at us in the face. Through community-led initiatives, we're looking at how young people can begin to drive the kind of result we want in our society. We're complaining about the integrity of our elections. How will young people continue to have access to independent participation in quality election production? Let's take, for example, in election monitoring and observation, tracking of election procedure, because it's easy. People who are in power, they will give you 100 reasons why the process that brought them is okay. Okay, people who lose will go ahead to also spread why it is not legitimate. But we have to have independent, in my organization, for the past 2 elections, one of the things we have done is to see how do we empower young people at community level. While casting your vote, can you also form alliances that monitors how election results are processed from polling unit to the next level of collation, which is registration area, to local government, to state government, to national level? We had more than 3,000 young people who showed up to want to be part of that process. It was damning interesting. Okay, against all odds, some of them were beaten by police officers. They were, thugs at rack, where most of the things that happens to election result manipulation even. But these are some of the community initiatives. He mentioned something that I like very well, and that is giving power back to the local government. Okay, my organization works with the local government across the 774 local governments in Nigeria. One of the biggest challenges we have in our hands in this country is how useless we have turned that very beautiful arm of the government. Okay, last year we provided support for young people who are interested in participating in how governance work at the local government level. You can't imagine how exciting young people are when they see support. They commit their energy to ensuring that they are part of what we work.
Okay.
I want to sand this as a way of ringing hope for us. I tell young people, let us open the border of Nigeria and say any country you want to go, you don't need visa. Just choose any country. We will still not all be able to go. To move from Abuja to Lagos now, I think it's about 30,000 or 20-something thousand. It will take some people 2-3 months to be able to save as much as that. To buy a ticket to, let's say, which closest, London is the maybe closest European country to us here now. You'll be hearing up to $1,200, $1,500, or even 2,000 something. Yes. That is, some people till they live and die, they are unable to put together that type of money. So it's now, the onus is on us.
The onus is on us.
To make our homework.
Yes, and I have some messages that came in too. Let me read some of them. He said, I believe Nigerian youths are our greatest national resources, and with the right skills, we can change the world from here. Let's invest more in practical training, mentorship, and entrepreneurship so that we don't look for jobs, we create them. Proud to be part of this new wave of change. And from Michael, he said, how do you empower youths that are willing to go into agriculture in terms of supporting them to actualize their dreams? He said, good morning, Nigeria. And Mr. Odis from Igara, Edo State said, first, I want to thank Mr. President for his leadership and to call on him to pay more attention to our rural communities. Let's return to Obin now and let's talk about partnerships with the NGOs, with all other people there. How critical is it, for empowering young people to act on the NDGs? What I mean is, how are they aware that the NDGs is there to help them, is there to promote them? Because people say tokenism is out there, you just come, collect money and go. So how do we ensure youth have a real voice in decision making itself?
Yeah. Once again, how do we ensure that? Is one, creation of awareness.
Okay.
Getting them involved is not a must. It's a personal decision, because a lot of young people may not have interest when it comes to the issue of governance.
Are you sure?
Yes, or participation in governance. Because, some of them have this mindset of bad leadership over the years. So they have lost interest. So, but however, what we are doing in our own aspect is to do what? To reawaken their consciousness. If you leave these people completely to govern us without our participation, we're not going to get things right. It is not a sense that made up all the political parties we have in Nigeria. They are all human beings. And every political party has the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we have just few people who have this conscience in every political party, whether APC, Labour, and so. So we, as an individual, we are the one that is going to bring changes in the system. And it's going to start from us. So number one is that they must have interest in what? How the economy is being run. They must have interest.
In governance.
Yes, also in governance. Just like my co-guest talked about election monitoring and all those things. If you get yourself into those aspects, you will now understand that even from the polling booth, the money that is meant to develop our community has been brought to the polling booth just to buy the conscience of some people. So one, Like we are carrying so many advocacy in partnership with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. In fact, the vote buying monitoring, people like us, we initiated it, and the EFCC keyed into it. Yes, CYMS. The essence is that over the years we've been assisting and working with Independent Electoral Commission to observe elections. If you are not an INEC staff, you can't monitor election. You can only do what? Observe election. Give your report back to the INEC. And that is where governance, both the good and the bad, start from. Because when you spend so much money in buying votes and get into your position, the first thing they want to do is to do what?
To recoup.
Is to recoup, to recover their money. After recovering their money, they also have sometimes their own personal budgets before they will now go into governance. So when all these things has been put into place, that you don't spend more in electing our leaders, we are going to do what? To achieve a lot of development in our country. And the electorate also have a very huge role to play by doing what? Rejecting money. Two, ask our leaders, what have they done? We have so many local government chairmen that don't live in their local government. They are always running hectare-scatter in the capital cities in their various states. Some of them will now build houses in the capital cities. We have so many governors in Nigeria. They don't even know the challenges of the insecurity in their states. Every time you see them in Abuja, every time you see, when they are elected today, they are planning on the next election the same day. Now, what is governance and leadership? Is leadership about the next election, or is about the people or the next generation? Then who are the next generation? The next generation are the people we are discussing about today, who are the youths. And every policy we are putting to go, either in government, in our respective homes or organizations, the policy, if it does not transit and make positive impacts in our younger generation, I want to tell you, those policies are nothing to write home about.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Let me get back as we round off this conversation, Samir Michael. How can we deploy technology to amplify the youth voices across Nigeria?
I also will push it back to you as a national, platform. You need to create platform that provide young people more opportunities.
This is one.
Yes, more.
And we do more.
Yeah.
We do much more
so
than that.
I am challenging both ourselves now that you do more. Be more intentional in programmatic designs that give young people. We're also calling on, more stakeholders, especially banks, tech industries, to ensure that they are more intentional about investing into youth capacity building opportunities.
And providing funding, perhaps?
Funding is key. Is key. And I say, some of the challenges we have that makes it look like we are still puppet in the hand of the Western world is that, take it or leave it, they are still the ones that provide the opportunities young people in Nigeria leverage on more today. If you're looking for scholarship, if you're looking for grants, if you're looking for investors, these are still the people. And yet we have I was listening to a guy, a lady who visited Nigeria recently. She was putting reports online. She was like, man, there's money in Nigeria.
Yes, of course.
There is she was shouting it that even on the street of LA, she doesn't see the kind of cars that she saw in Lagos. But then, people here seems to be more about me, myself, and my family, rather than...
Which is where enlightenment comes in.
Exactly.
More education from people like you, so that the youth can see the opportunities right there before them. Do you mind?
Okay, Obina, let's have your last words. What advice do you have for the youth in 30 seconds?
One, the advice I have for them is to be law-abiding, to get involved in community development in line with the theme of this year's International Youth Day. 3, is to be more resilient and to be patriotic. If you are not patriotic, it will cost you more harm. And it will not cost you anything to be patriotic, but it will cost you more if you are unpatriotic.
Okay, Chief Obinna Nwaka, Director General, Committee of Youth on Mobilization and Sensitization, CYMS. Thank you so much for coming.
It's my pleasure.
Simaya Michael, founder of the Global Goals Community Center. We appreciate you.
Thanks so much.
It's your submission on this topic. And that's Good Morning Nigeria for today. Thanks so much for keeping us company. I am Jumba Yusuf.
And I am Victor Azu. We appreciate your time. We'll see you again tomorrow.